This episode of The Totally Rad Show is brought to you by AN Hosting. Coming up today on the show, you asked them and we answered your Twitter questions.
All right, it's time to answer some of your age-old questions that you just tweeted us moments ago.
And by age, we mean 10 seconds old questions.
Right.
Beautiful out of doors. We thought it'd be fun to just chill outside.
This is nice out of
Los
doors.
Angeles.
Time to play catch up with viewers at home, and whatever they've got wondering, we've got answering. Here we go.
Put some mustard on it. Put some mustard on it.
From at
I
Dave,
relish your answers.
From at Dave Ioka.
Okay.
What were your favorite video games that you played when you were little? Top 3, he says, but.
You know, there was a video game, and I can't remember what it was called, for the Atari 2600, Sub Run or something like that.
Yes.
It might have been Sub Hunt. I had, my buddy had the Intellivision. I didn't have any console at the time, but my uncle in California had the 2600. So whenever I would come out for the summer, and it was probably only 1 or 2 summers that this happened, I would come out, and that was the time that I got to play the 2600. They had Spy Hunter, which I didn't really like Spy Hunter as much, but he had Sub Hunt, and I fricking loved it.
The one I will mention right now is, did you guys ever do this? We may have talked about this at one point. Did you ever play Gyromite without Robbie the Robot?
It's impossible. Yeah, with another person. With
And you play it competitively?
Yes.
Where that person tries to squash you?
Yes, I loved it. I loved it so much.
I never.
So much. I always go over to my friend's house who had that, and he like.
Yeah, I think that was my problem. I never had anybody that bought Robbie the Robot.
Yeah.
Well, it came with the NES when it first was released.
Oh, interesting.
Because it came with Gyromite and Duck Hunt. And I remember I had a friend who bought it right when they came out, and we would go over, and there were certain levels where it was impossible not to die, but then you'd be like, well, you have to let me through this part, and then the next part is like, can you squash me?
I love these 2 games it's funny, for disparate reasons. One, Karnov.
Oh my God.
Karnov?
That's right, fat guy who breathed fireballs.
Yeah.
Coughed fireballs on people.
Yeah.
It had an amazing.
And it was like pre-Golden Axe or something, right? Didn't it? Didn't
he
it
was
look
like a
kind of
Buddha
like
looking
Golden
guy.
Axe?
Nintendo is a Buddha-looking dude, very unique, like Roman or Grecian. Right. So it was like the cover for the game was awesome looking.
Yeah.
The game was like,
Karnov,
and then
God, I love
the
that
opposite.
game.
That was always my disappointment in Nintendo games was that the covers showed these amazing worlds in the games themselves, except for one game.
Had a terrible cover.
No, the cover was just okay, and the game like really did justice to being a ninja. Legend of Cage or Legend of Kage, K-A-G-E.
Yeah, it was Cage. Yeah.
The guy steals princess in the beginning, and it moved. You could jump really high, jump in the trees.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in the trees. I remember that.
So much fun. A very unique platformer. Nothing else like it. I loved that game.
Interesting.
So anyway, Bador SNK asks, what was your best vacation trip? Driving out here, I drove out here with my best friend Amy, and we made
a vacation. That's a
relocation.
relocation.
True, I know. But that excursion
travel experience
of we didn't rush through it like a lot of people do. We went north, did Mount Rushmore, and then Colorado Springs, and then down to Santa Fe and and Grand Canyon. Like really took our time, saw the sights. So much fun.
We were a big water sports family, and we would do houseboat trips every year up in Shasta or Lake Trinity.
Yep.
And multiple families, and everybody would have jet skis and boats and stuff, and it was awesome. And I remember I used to always pick what book I was gonna read while I was there, because I'd basically get through an entire book, just like lying in the sun, and we'd do water sports, and man, those trips were wonderful.
God, I feel like I want to, maybe it's just because it's hot right now, but being in a lake on a boat, chillaxing, doing some water skiing, jet skiing sounds freaking awesome right now. We would spend our summers in La Jolla, which is where my grandparents are. So we would spend every summer they would go down and they had a house in La Jolla. But that was sort of like every summer, but I always really cherished those sort of couple weeks that we would have every summer in California and San Diego, you know what I mean? So different than Virginia, especially during the summer, because it's hot and muggy as balls in Virginia. But for a very specific one, when I was in college, like freshman year in college, my family and I went to Paris for Thanksgiving week and did a whole big thing, not being in it. Yeah, we literally had Thanksgiving in Dijon, France, because we rented a
much
car.
different there.
It is. It's really great.
different.
We rented a car and we
Home
drove. We drove from Paris through to Switzerland, down to Germany, back up through to France, and it was really fun. I did go to Lausanne in Switzerland with the girl I was dating before,
Is that
Heather.
No,
it's not Lucerne. There's a Lucerne and a
been there.
Lausanne.
Is that the Italian part of Switzerland?
I don't know what that means, but it's right across Lake Geneva.
I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
And the guy that we went and stayed with worked at Nestle, because it was a big Nestle corporate headquarters out there, and they rented him an apartment, and it was like he was James Bond. It was a 3-bedroom apartment overlooking Lake Geneva in the city, in the heart of Lausanne. I mean, it was like we had all the Nescafe you could ever want.
I already have all that I want.
I literally woke up and you would have like make a cappuccino, sit and look out over Lake Geneva, and we were there for like 4 days.
Amazing.
And it was the first time I ever wakeboarded was on Lake Geneva. I mean, it was just like, it was awesome.
Eric Coolin asks, what are your thoughts on The Hobbit and the Avatar sequels being shot at 48 frames per second? We
I
haven't
think
talked
that's
about this yet.
awesome. I love that that is the next, because everyone talks about how blurry 3D is, and it's definitely true.
Yeah.
And I think this might be the solution to that. I've never seen it, so it remains to be seen if it
Yeah.
has a big difference. But the concept has me
Well,
really
first off,
jazzed.
they have now doubled the amount of time it will take in order to render all of Avatar.
Yeah. Somebody in
I
an
mean,
office
that
is like,
shit happens.
That's an issue.
I need to work out some scheduling.
I remember always feeling, I remember hearing that I blew my mind when I found out video games were at 60 frames a second. And I was
Yeah.
like, why are movies
Not all of them, but-
Because to me, it just, you know, the only problem I have, not having seen it,
Yeah.
is that the motion blur is something that, for non-3D, I don't know what it'll be for 3D,
Yeah.
but for non-3D
It's a
is
fun
what
look.
gives it a look
Yeah.
that we like, and you know, I think a lot of times, I know you get upset and I get very upset. You look at your TV set at that 48 frame setting, or the
Well, that's the 120 hertz.
Yeah, 120
That I
hertz,
am
exactly.
really worried about, because if
Right.
that's what it looks like,
right, it's sharper.
We don't know that.
Right,
We don't know any
We know
of
that
this.
it's
And
sharper
you know that
and the clarity.
you can
and-
add motion blur to anything. Just having, you know, it's not.
it remains to be seen,
so it
but I
remains
think
to be
we're
seen,
excited
but I'm
in some
definitely
respect,
like-
but
I think this is the
trepidation.
next step.
I mean, at first I go, genius, of course, yes, and then I go, oh God, what if it's?
Yeah.
Colby Hennigan asks, what do you guys think of the new WoW Premium accounts announcement? I don't know what this is.
Basically, there are services that they are now going to provide to members that you will only have access to if you pay more a month than what you're currently paying.
For example, if you if you started a character on another server, and I have my character on a server, and it's like, ah, crap, we can never play together because we're on 2 different servers. Well, they're adding the ability to.
I thought they already had that. I can pay for
No,
it.
Well, randomly you can.
Yeah,
but not-
randomly.
you can't. We couldn't be friends cross server and then link
Group,
up.
and you may accidentally end up in the same dungeon using
Right.
the Dungeon Finder, which is cross-server. But to be able to specifically say, I want to go into a dungeon with these other people, or you and I group up and then we end up in a dungeon with other people,
I see.
they're now going to be charging people for that service.
We've already seen subscriptions start to slide, and they made the announcement at their stockholders meeting that they were going to ramp up the release of expansions to try to maintain the install base. So it seems like
Yeah.
at cross purposes from that, it's like, oh, we're going to charge you more at the same time we're worried about losing you. I feel like
Yeah.
they should be throwing that in gratis. but-
They should be throwing in all sorts of stuff. They should be coming out with these things, not going, now we have a premium thing. I think for the most part, and I agree, especially because people are going away from, people are starting to see that the free-to-play model is actually as viable, if not more viable, for some of these games that have a hard time connecting with an audience.
Thoughts thus far on the development of the HBO series Game of Thrones? This is from Solancer. What happened? Stopped or?
No, it's.
Are you current?
I'm current,
Oh, okay,
except
good.
for this week's episode. I haven't watched it. It's on the VO, as it were.
The one before this week. I like this week's. I'm
The one
I'm
before this
loving
week,
it.
I'm
Apology accepted.
Here's the weird thing.
Yes.
I kind of went like this. I really like the end at the end of 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
When she is talking to the different soldiers.
And he's surrounded by?
Well, no, he's talking. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
talking, and he was like, and she's like, "What? Why are you saying like I remember your father? Does he still need
Yeah.
blah 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 blah?
Yeah.
I remember
her
you blah blah blah.
banner.
Yeah. That.
And then at the
when
end,
that
they all
happened,
surround the
yeah.
dwarf, you know. and
Then
they're
take
like-
this man into custody.
Yeah. And you're like,
that.
She obligates them.
Yeah, but that literally was when I went, this is awesome.
Yeah.
The end of the next episode had me 2 steps backwards, where I was like, that
The
fight
whole-
scene did not look good. It was a bad fight scene. It did
Oh,
not
I
look
disagree.
good.
That whole episode, there was like 8 fight scenes in it.
The
all
whole
freaking
episode was great, but
stupendous.
then that end one, where the end one, where it was like the two
Jamie and
confrontational. that
gets stabbed in the back of the leg.
that fight scene to me was so like fake fight scene. Did not look good.
One of the most faithful adaptations of anything I have ever seen. It encourages me for things like Preacher that we keep worrying about, oh, they're gonna butcher it. There is almost nothing left out. Even little things that, like the Silent Sisters are there. All of that is in there, like all of the religious stuff that and all of the background of all the families. It's so difficult, I thought, for them to convey all that complicated interrelation stuff, but they add these wonderful moments, like they add a scene with Brand, the young boy, like learning the areas, and it's like,
Yes.
oh, that's for the audience.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's clear and it makes sense in context, like that.
He had a great.
Yeah.
On the whole, there's so many great moments.
Yeah.
Everything is like awesome. And I mentioned on Twitter, I love the theme song. The theme song to the show,
Yeah.
far superior to
Have
Lord
you
of the
noticed?
Rings.
Have you
or-
noticed
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
intro has
It
changed?
changes.
They
the
add new
visuals.
areas.
Yeah, the new areas.
As they expand the map, and as new, now
cool.
the Erie is on the map because we went and saw Catelyn's sister, and it's Lysa.
yeah,
That is so effed up, dude.
Dude,
That
yeah.
little kid, so effed up.
I want to
Epic.
see him fly.
There's some fun stuff in the episode you didn't watch.
Yeah, I'm
there.
excited, I'm
So
excited.
I think we're gonna get snippets of grand things. I think
Yeah.
they save their budgets. I think they're gonna hopefully spend money on that stuff.
Oof, I hope. I hope. Because that's the
We
thing. I
don't
think
get that
we're
much of it. We just, like the rest of the show, we feel, we
Yeah.
taste it in
Yeah.
morsels.
Yeah. Well,
It
we'll
is-
see.
It is great. The thing you always said about the book, like how the epic stuff is happening, like on the outside. It's like just the idea of like you haven't lived through 100 winter, or like not 100 obviously, but like it's
Yeah,
like
they've had
50 winter.
15 years of
15
summer.
years of summer, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be winter. And it's like, oh, it just feels so brutal. Like it
Yeah.
just, you feel it.
I have not seen.
I feel it.
And
I know.
I hate saying that's so
Yes, you
stupid to
keep saying
say,
it.
but
Yes.
it's like.
Yes, you keep saying.
I know. It's
But
annoying.
I hear you.
But it's
it's
like
gonna get crazy.
Punch you in the
it's
face.
setting itself
You
up.
also sort of mentioned some shit to me, so.
Yeah.
It's setting itself up as being a very typical story, and it's gonna go like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I feel that.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's
gonna
gonna
be-
be a
yeah.
challenging for a lot of viewers. I think.
Ooh, I like that.
Stoked.
Cool.
That's Twitter.
Twitter. All right, everybody, remember to stick around for this day in rad history. But first, we do want to thank our sponsor. AN Hosting has been providing simple and affordable web hosting since 2001, way back since Stanley Kubrick's day. Yeah. It features exclusive discount. You guys get 3 months free for being a TRS viewer, which is epic, a free domain, which is also epic, and $100 search engine credit for Google and Yahoo with sign up.
a lot of
Amazing.
free stuff.
They've got 24/7 US-based phone support, chat, and email. Over 100 popular scripts like Drupal, WordPress. You can install them with just one click. Visit anhosting.com/TRS for your 3 months free web hosting. Zing. See you tomorrow.
Check us out tomorrow for a look at the X-Men First Class comic.
Today is June 1st, and on this day in rad history in 1980,
This is CNN.
for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if General Jones was then. Maybe he was.
Maybe.
I don't know.
He was Darth Vader before that.
He was. But yeah, CNN had been around that long.
Wow, that's
And now
crazy.
there's all 24-hour news cycles, and the whole world's gone.
There's like
crazy.
1,000 24-hour news cycle shit channels.
Thanks for nothing, Ted Turner.
And at Sister Infant.
Thanks for something.